So, hello everyone. I think that nobody is going to join me here to watch, but I want to save this live just to just so anybody can watch it, can so anybody can see it anytime in my feed. Hey guys, hello guys. So today I wanted to speak about one of the it's really like the introduction into the theory of fans, into the theory of spinning. And hello, hello everyone. Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit about theory and about what teachers normally should tell to their students from the first time, from the first lesson. But as I meet, my students told me that nobody has ever told them about that in the United States, for example. So when they start learning fans or they start learning spinning, somehow nobody tells them about it. So there is such a concept which is called planes, and it is one of the first ever basic theoretical concepts that you need to know about. The first thing you need to think about it is planes. And of course, even though we have a lot of three-dimensional geometries and three-dimensional tricks and alternative axis rotations, anyways, everything where we work, it starts with planes. And why the planes are really important? Well, first of all, this is just the plane which will show your spectator the most visual parts of your tricks, because if you will do it in the other plane, not in the plane of your spectator, they would probably not assess all the beauty of the trick as it is. And the second part is that we work, first of all, we start working within one plane because of the physics and mathematics, and because gravity is a bitch, and it is so much easier to work inside one of the planes. And normally it is a vertical plane, so as long as gravity pulls everything down, so we work in our vertical planes. Hey everyone, so are you really going to listen to this till the end? So yeah, I just don't want it to look like a lecture, but I want to see your feedback if you're listening or if you have any questions. So first of all, we work in the planes because they are more visual for the spectator. The second one is because they are easier to work in. It is easier to control your probe, it is easier to control your points, and it is way easier to perform all the tricks if you keep your plane normally, basically, because of all of these forces, like centrifugal forces, like gravity and all that kind of stuff. They are applied inside of one plane. So they are either applied like this, but anyways, we consider our props as a line or as a two-dimensional object, and it's much easier to work inside of these planes. I don't remember the third one if I had, but I wanted to show you that my students always tell me that nobody ever told them that they need to keep the planes and why they do need to do so. But basically, this is why you can see and watch all of the professional spinners, and for example, Russian style spinners, that we learn it, I don't know, from the first steps, that you need to have all your movements inside of your planes, and then this is how they're going to look clean, they're going to look beautiful. And I just wanted to give a short introduction into that. And of course, I really like doing a lot of 3D geometry, and I've spent a couple of years on working on combining alternative rotations with the two-dimensional spinning, inside of the planes. But first of all, what I teach my students is I teach them to keep these planes. You really need to keep these planes. So, and only after you learn to keep your planes, you can start learning how to break them. Yeah, that's true that a lot of people try to go directly to some more intermediate, more advanced tricks, because it is much funnier. It's much more fun. It's much more entertainment for yourself. But actually, if you start learning from the beginning, steps by steps, it is going to work better for you. You will not get stuck anywhere where you somehow you get into some position and you realize that you don't have such a weave, like the basic one, that you haven't drilled it enough. But as long as I'm talking about planes, and really for these rotations and for such things, it is so much easier to perform these movements inside of the plane because of the gravity, because of the movement, because of the centrifugal force and all the kind of stuff. They are much easier to keep it like this, actually, if your fans are good enough, if your fans have good dynamics. This is how this will look visually clean. And I'm going to tell you like the real basics. So what we have here, normally our planes are parallel to the edge of the stage, they are parallel to our body, so they are parallel to the spectator, so they can see the whole picture, like the whole picture of the whole trick. If I do it like this way, you will probably not value this weave the same as I do it here. But anyways, 3D are usually the good way to make your act or your performance more interesting, but only after you learn how to keep your planes. And you need to know how to, if you start from one plane, from working inside of the plane, and if you want to break it, you need to learn how to get back into this plane. So you need to drill all of these positions, like you hold it, like you grab it, and it doesn't matter that you always will get back inside this plane, inside this 2D, so it won't look like this diagonals. And basically the planes that we use, they are front plane, which is in front of us, which is mostly seen for the spectators, and the back plane. So basically these are like two parallel planes, like a corridor, like you are inside of this really tiny corridor. And what you need to learn to work when you do your weaves, because you need to learn to work inside these planes, and you need to think that your movement is either outward or inward, but it's never forward or backward. So even though I'm changing my planes from the front to the back one, still I move my fan outwards, or I move it inwards towards myself. So basically I'm working inside of this plane. I'm trying to do the movements only to the sides. I'm never trying to do my movements to the front, because a lot of people, they are struggling. For example, they get into these crossed positions, and because they are not stretched enough, they are not drilled enough, this position becomes like this. And it should not happen like this, because all the acceleration that goes inwards, it goes from the outwards inwards. Your fan needs to continue spinning like this in these circles anyways, and it should never look forward, because if it looks forward, it is just perpendicular to that one, and you lose your acceleration, you lose your dynamics, you lose your visual part of your trick. So what you need to think about when you do these weaves, and when you do most of the tricks, even if you are facing unfast, so still you need to work to the side, yeah? So this is how you manage to keep planes, and you really need to drill all the movements, like every tiny movement. And what I teach in my course, I teach to drill them at any position. So you need to keep the planes at any position, and it doesn't matter if I have a straight arm, or if it's bent, or even if it's, for example, somewhere here around my body, and of course somewhere here. You need to learn how to work in planes and how to keep them. And of course some positions are not really comfortable, but this only means that you need to work on them the most. And of course this is this front plane, and the plane which is behind me is the back plane. Yeah, for example, I can do the rotations in my back plane, and most of the movements that you can do with fans, as long as it is a 2D shape, you need to perform the movement both in the front plane and in the back plane. So there are 2 beats in the front plane and in the back plane, like almost all the time, except the moments when we do such rotations, because such rotations allow you to get into the starting position, like to do the you can call it like empty beat, or to do the extra beat while not doing this movement with your wrist, but otherwise your body will not allow you to do so. And most of the movements, they consist of the front plane beat and the back plane beat. And there, of course, can be 2 of them, like 2 in the front, 2 in the back, or if you do the flowers, there might be as many as you want to, but normally they are even, like in the front and in the back. And the only thing that changes about the planes, of course, you can move it behind your head, you can move it behind your back, anyways, but still you will be working in the front plane, but just your arm is going to be across your back. But still you are able to work only in these 2 planes. And the only thing that changes for us in the relation, because if we want to show everything to our spectator, there are such things like side plane flowers, and we do some of them, or even some tricks facing to the side, say facing at the side, and you can call it side plane. So in here it will become your left and right plane, and even though it might be obvious, I will still say it, because most of my students, they don't get such of the concept. So you can't really do something like this for your spectator and then suddenly start doing these flowers like this. So at least they are not seen, they are not visual, and you break the plane, you break the dynamics, and that's it. So here we are in the side planes. We have the side planes, and well, in here, what we can use, which terms, is that you can have them in the outer planes. So my fans are spinning in my outer planes, still at the sides of my body, or they can be doing negative planes in here. So, so this might be the rotations at the outer planes, and in the negative planes, for example, when you do the passo, something like this, or any kind of this would be the negative plane. So one of them is outer or just side plane, and then another one is going to be the negative one, because it is in between my arm and my body. This one is outside of my body, this one is inside here. It is called negative one. And basically, why do I want to speak about the planes? That if you are keeping the plane, if you are holding one grip, there is the main rule that if you have one grip and you are doing the same trick and you are keeping the plane, you don't break it, so you do everything correctly, it means that you are going to stay in the same grip all the time. Because to switch the grip, you need to do some movement, and you need to do it intentionally. So it's either you broke it and did it incorrectly, or you broke it with intention. But it needs to be, an intentional movement. It shouldn't be, I was doing it and then somehow I switched my fan like this just because my body doesn't want to continue doing it in the grip it was. So the main point is, if you keep the planes, you need to keep the main point for number one. You need to keep the planes. This is the rule. This is how you get more freedom when you put yourself into some limitations. You need to keep the planes, and if you start with the one type of the grip, you are staying in this type of the grip until you switch it. So you can switch it in a couple of ways. You can make a toss and catch it in a closed grip. I catch it in the open grip. You can break the plane, but you can break the plane only intentionally, only with the intended movement. And the third one is there is a grip switch inside the ring, but this is kind of like a more intermediate and advanced move, and so normally I teach them quite later, so you just know that it exists, but you need to use it intentionally too, because once you learn it and you start to do it all the time, you can forget where you were going, which was the next trick, and to get to some grip that you were that you didn't expect, for example. And what about these planes? If you start in the closed grip here, and I keep my planes all the time, after I turn my body, so I turn my body, I get into the open grip. So this is just a relation of how I hold my fan according to the plane of the spectator. And if I hold it like this, so this is the open grip for you now. If I fix and isolate my fan and just go around it, I am in the closed grip now. So for myself, for me, it feels like it is the closed grip, because now I'm showing my fist to the wall, and now I'm facing the wall. And if I turn it like this, so each 180, now I'm in the open grip. So each 180 actually is switching the grip. So I'm in the closed grip here, I am not breaking the plane, I am in the open grip now. And I turn back, 180, now I'm back in the closed grip. And if it was the mixed grip, and I do the turn, it is another mixed grip for me, but it changed relatively. So this is how you can get from one trick from the closed grip into another trick in the open grip with just 180 turn. But you need to mind this, that if you started in the closed grip here and you turn, then you will get the open grip at the other side. And what about these side flowers, the side planes? If you want to make a turn, or if you want to make it like outer planes at one side, yes, it's both outer planes. After I move them to the other side, but without changing anything, without changing directions or grip, I get into the negative planes here. So if it's negative planes here, then it's outer planes here, like outer side planes here. And it doesn't matter if I do a cap or this kind of wing. So at one side, at one point, is going to be the outer, but if I'm facing the other side, it is the inner plane. This is how it is all related to the position of our body and how we look at these planes. And I think that it was mostly all that I wanted to say. So I wanted to show you one turn with the flowers. For example, that if I start from my open grip and I do this turn, then this arm is doing the outer one here. Well, it's negative one. Then to go down, it is going to pass the negative plane, and then it is going to be in the outer side, negative, and negative here. If I want to turn like this, so it is going to be like negative again. If you want to do the full 360 turn with the flowers in the side planes, you will always have at least one beat or one petal in the negative plane. And I think that's the whole thing that I wanted to say about planes and turns and how they relate to each other. Was there anyone who watched this from the beginning? And I wanted to wish Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate. So happy celebration, and enjoy your week, enjoy your holidays. Yeah, bye bye. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I hope it was useful for you, and it will be useful for everyone who watches it later. So, happy holidays, yeah, and thank you. Bye bye.